What do you hear? What do you say? Rambo here with a new video on DOA. 5 Margwas, 1 dungeon. Sounds a bit sus. Is it real? Is it fake? Maybe a little kiss of the old Photoshop? I don't know. I guess we'll have to take a deep dive into the dark alleyways of the dungeons and see what exactly is going on down here in episode 2 of DOA Breakdown. So first things first, a little background on Dungeon Margwas for the uninitiated. On Dead Ops Arcade 3, you can find Margwas in any of the 4 deadly dungeons that appear in the wild area. The more players you have in your match, the bigger the dungeons typically are, hence the more likely it is that Mr. Margwa makes an appearance. If you get a Margwa in a dungeon, you'll see this boss icon on the minimap, and they'll always be camping their teeth off in this specific room. And in that area will also be a random fate zone, which when paired with the Room of Fate, allows you to be double fated in the early rounds. If you're playing a 3 or 4 player match, Margwa fate zones also give you the unique ability to have 3 or more players with the same fate. For example, if you're playing a 4 player match and you want everyone to have the Fate of Furious Feet as one of their fates, normally you would only be able to have one person pick up the stone in the Room of Fate, and then a second person picks it up in the Room of Judgment, and then the rest of the players are sadly shit out of luck. But with Margwa stones, the 3rd player, and maybe even the 4th player, might be able to obtain Furious Feet in a dungeon. So you could hypothetically then have 4 players with the same fate, which is very cool, and also very luck-based. Having just one Margwa appear in any of the dungeons is not so uncommon for co-op matches, but having it be the specific fate that you're looking for is pretty unlikely. And then also having 2 or more Margwas in a specific dungeon, well, that's fairly rare. Anyways, let's sort out the players in this match that we're breaking down. The green player is a guy named also known as Charlie, who incidentally was in open lobby number 2 that I did back in 2020. He joined halfway through the match and even got the pristine pelt Dark Ops 2. Good for him. He was also the first person to discover a shortcut to the Blightfather path in the wild without spending keys in that direction, which is pretty typical actually. The blue player is one of his friends, don't know too much about him. The yellow player is just some random player. This was a public match after all. And finally, the red player is Rambo, but like, not the Rambo, it's a Fugazi doppelganger. Speaking of fake Rambos, I guess it's an epidemic of sorts. Somebody was telling me that there was yet another Rambo in pubs trolling people a while back.
There was a fake Rambo for a while that was running around like trolling people and shit.
Oh, is that true? I didn't hear about that.
You never met it was a Rambo and his Rambo was in all capital letters. It was like a year ago. He would like join games and like he would take you to the wild and then he would like ditch you after he took all the keys.
Maybe that was me. So initially, when I saw this screenshot of the 5 boss icons on the minimap, it looked a bit suspect. Admittedly, a few of the icons seemed pretty legit, but sometimes there's a bug where other mini-bosses in the wild end up appearing on the dungeon minimap. For example, here's a recent video clip where there's a boss icon in the dungeon, but you could clearly tell it's not actually a Margwa, as the icon is not in an octagonal room, and it's not even within the boundaries of the hallways. It's just a 6-armed guy taking a stroll above us in the wild. So, going back to this image, you look at it, maybe you even put on your glasses to make sure you're seeing everything correctly, and you're naturally going to be a bit skeptical, right? I've played a lot of matches on DOA 3, not the most matches known to man, but I've been in my fair share of dungeons the past 2+ years, and so have a lot of other players in the community that I know. And for the longest of times, the most Margwas I've seen in a single dungeon was 3, and getting 3 Margwas is extremely rare. I've probably only had it happen in a match of mine like 3 or 4 times, if that. Never seen 4 Margwas in a dungeon, and here we are, jumping all the way up to 5. Now, a little side story. There is some corroboration of someone supposedly seeing 5 Margwas in a single dungeon before. Oddly enough, almost exactly 1 year before Charlie's screenshot, there was a viewer of mine who shared in my Twitch chat that they saw 5 Margwas in one of their dungeons. At the time, I was of course a bit hesitant to believe it without seeing concrete proof. Fortune says I got a screenshot of 5 Margwas in a single dungeon 3P game. They were all feet. Yeah, that seems a bit, I don't know. I need like a video clip. I don't need a screenshot of that. Some of the icons might be a bit fugazi, you know, like an elephant icon or something. Because the highest number anyone's seen is 3, so the fact that there was 5 seems like some sort of anomaly. A couple days later, they shared a screenshot of them at the beginning of the dungeon, and to their credit, there was 5 boss icons. But there was only this one screenshot available that I saw. no video clips or other images. Surely a couple of the icons could have been other mini-bosses in the wild. Plus, with it being a 3-player match, it seemed very improbable that they would have so many Margwas. I figured that this singular image held up just about as well as a paper bag in a Category 5 hurricane. Naturally, it was not very conclusive, but maybe in hindsight, they actually did get 5 Margwas. In which case, props to them, and I apologize for doubting y'all, but as Babe Ruth once said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Anyways, back to Charlie and the boys. They don't have full gameplay of this dungeon, so how does their proof hold up? Well, Charlie did provide at least a few screenshots from different areas in the dungeon, and also one short video clip. And based on everything shown, unless he's a master photo and video manipulator for the ages, everything does seem to check out. Okay, so let's label these Margwa icons on the minimap for ease of explanation. Margwa number 1 is in the top left, Margwas number 2 and 3 are over here towards the right, Margwa number 4 is all the way in the top right, and Margwa number 5 is here on the bottom left. These numbers indicate the order in which each Margwa was encountered by the team. So for Margwa number 1, there's a 12-second video clip, and based on this clip we can confirm that the Fate Stone is firepower. And it's worth mentioning, by the way, that if you have multiple Fate Stones in the same dungeon, they're actually all going to be the same fate, which kinda seems like a bug, but in any case, that means 5 firepower stones in this dungeon. You might ask, well Rambo, what are you gonna do with 5 firepower stones if you could only have a maximum of 4 players in your game? To which I would say, I don't have a clue. Anyways, in this clip, we can also clearly see that there are nearby Margwa rooms over here to the right. Those rooms are the next ones explored, as seen in this screenshot. Margwas number 2 and 3 are right next to each other, side by side. Then Margwa number 4 is above them and connected to one of the previous rooms. If all we had to observe was the minimap, we could also discern that these octagonal rooms are indeed Margwa rooms, since they can be entered from all 4 cardinal directions. The only other rooms in a deadly dungeon that can appear as octagonal are the fireball rooms. However, those rooms are a bit different, as they can only be entered from 2 directions, either top and bottom or left and right. Usually you could differentiate these 2 rooms based on the minimap alone. Then the final Margwa, number 5, was found all the way in the bottom left. By this point, the yellow player was sick and tired of getting minced by Margwas, so he must have rage quit from the match, not even aware in the slightest that he was part of Deadly Dungeon history. So everything checks out to me. The source of the screenshots is Charlie, whom I view as a trustworthy source, and while there's no full gameplay, the proof available looks pretty legitimate, and the layout from screenshot to screenshot appears both authentic and consistent. A few people I knew were skeptical of the whole ordeal, and I understand, it's good to be inquisitive when things like these are posted, so they pulled out their magnifying glass and asked a few questions, such as why is there a death icon on the minimap here if no player was actually dead? After some brief testing, the answer was that your death icon actually appears a few frames before it shows you as dead on the HUD, as the green player here was a mere moment away from being taken down by a zombie. Another concern brought up was why the double Margwa room over here looks kind of edited, with geometry that isn't properly aligned and overlaps. Well, the answer there was quite straightforward. After all, these are the same dungeons that have floating shite in the sky in FPS mode. The misalignment is just a small level design oversight that can also be seen in other footage too. So, in conclusion, 5 Margwas is a thing, I guess. But more questions are raised from this situation than answered. How many people, with either solid proof or sworn testimony, have seen more than 3 Margwas in a single dungeon before? How about more than 3 Dark Crypts in a single dungeon? After all, Crypts seem to be more likely to appear than a Margwa. You know, I once saw a Facebook post, don't ask me how I found the DUA thing on Facebook, it just happened one day. And in that post, there was someone claiming that you could get a total of 15 Dark Crypts across all deadly dungeons. Hypothetically speaking, of course. And for the longest time, I was like, where did he get that number 15 from? Well, max of 5 Dark Crypts in each dungeon, you can't receive a Crypt in Grotte della Dorta, 5 times 3 is 15, boom! Maybe the guy wasn't capping about that. But as for the rest of his post, I still don't know what the hell he was on about. But going back to Margwas, maybe 5 Margwas is something that could only happen in public matches, perhaps. Maybe it happens more often than we think over in the pub scene, but we never really get to see any footage of it because these randoms always be hitting the damn ladder at the beginning.
Yeah, the ladder exits the dungeon.
Oh, whoops. I did not realize that was what that was. I saw a glowing object.
Or maybe it's possible for a couple of Margwas to somehow get duplicated, just like how some of the other mini-bosses in the wild get duplicated with seemingly no rhyme or reason. Who knows? And in the end, well, actually I care a little bit. So if anyone has any insight to these questions, I'd like to hear about it. Surely somebody peeps the game code and sees what's up, because me, I'd be on the lookout for 6 Margwas from now on. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. I did hear whispers that dropping a like increases your Margwa luck by 2.2%. Thanks for watching. So, the night before uploading this video, I played a little public match at midnight, and who do I find but Charlie and his boy Dog, both green and blue in this match. That seems familiar, and oh, what do you know? Rambo is the red player, but this time it's the real one, me. And the yellow player is a random who ends up rage quitting towards the beginning of the wild. I figured with such coincidence and fate, I was finally due to see the 5 Margwas with my very 2 eyes. But sadly, we only got 1 fortune stone.